Glen Campbell. Glen Travis Campbell is an American rock and country music singer, musician, songwriter, television host and actor. He is best known for a series of hits in the 1960s and 1970s, and for hosting a music and comedy variety show called the Glen Campbell Goodtime Hour on CBS television from January 1969 through June 1972. During his 50 years in show business, Campbell released more than 70 albums. He sold 45 million records and accumulated 12 RIAA Gold albums, 4 platinum albums, and 1 double platinum album. He placed a total of 80 different songs on either the Billboard Country Chart, Billboard Hot 100, or the Adult Contemporary Chart, of which 29 made the top 10 and of which 9 reached number 1 on at least one of those charts. Campbell's hits include his recordings of John Hartford's "Gentle on My Mind", Jimmy Webb's "By the Time I Get to Phoenix", Wichita Lineman and Galveston, Larry Weiss, Rhinestone Cowboy, and Allen Toussaint's Southern Nights. Campbell made history in 1967 by winning 4 Grammys total in the country and pop categories. For "Gentle on My Mind", he received 2 awards in country and western. "By the Time I Get to Phoenix" did the same in pop. 3 of his early hits later won Grammy Hall of Fame awards, while Campbell himself won the Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award in 2012. He owns trophies for Male Vocalist of the Year from both the Country Music Association and the Academy of Country Music, and took the CMA's top award as 1968 Entertainer of the Year. Campbell appeared in the film True Grit, which gave him a Golden Globe nomination for Most Promising Newcomer. Campbell sang the title song, which was nominated for an Academy Award. Early life. Glen Travis Campbell was born in Billstown, a tiny community near Delight in Pike County, Arkansas, to John Wesley and Carrie Dell Campbell. He is the 7th son of 12 children. His father was a sharecropper of Scottish ancestry. He started playing guitar as a youth, and credits his Uncle Burr for teaching him the guitar. In 1954, Campbell moved to Albuquerque to join his uncle's band known as Dick Bills and the Sandia Mountain Boys. He also appeared there on his uncle's radio show and on K-Circle B Time, the local children's program on Cobb Television. In 1958, Campbell formed his own band, the Western Wranglers. 1960–66, early career. In 1960, Campbell moved to Los Angeles to become a session musician. In October 1960, he joined the Shoms. By January 1961, Campbell had found a daytime job at publishing company American Music, writing songs and recording demos. Because of these demos, Campbell soon was in demand as a session musician and became part of a group of studio musicians later known as the Wrecking Crew. Campbell played on recordings by Bobby Darin, Ricky Nelson, Dean Martin, Nat King Cole, The Monkees, Nancy Sinatra, Merle Haggard, Jan and Dean, Elvis Presley, Frank Sinatra, and Phil Spector. In May 1961, he left the Shoms and was subsequently signed by Crest Records, a subsidiary of American Music. His first solo release, Turn Around, Look at Me, was a moderate success, peaking at number 62 on the Billboard Hot 100 in 1961. Campbell also formed the GCEs with former band members from the Shoms, performing at the Crossbow Inn in Van Nuys. The GCEs, too, released a single on Crest, the instrumental, Buzzsaw, which did not chart. In 1962, Campbell signed with Capitol Records. After minor initial success with Too Late to Worry, Too Blue to Cry, his first single for the label, and Kentucky Means Paradise, released by the Green River Boys featuring Glen Campbell, a string of unsuccessful singles and albums followed. From 1964 on, Campbell began to appear on television as a regular on Star Route, a syndicated series hosted by Rod Cameron, ABC's Shindig, and Hollywood Jamboree. From December 1964 to early March 1965, Campbell was a touring member of the Beach Boys, filling in for Brian Wilson. He also played guitar on the band's Pet Sounds album, among other recordings. On tour, he played bass guitar and sang falsetto harmonies. In April 1966, he joined Ricky Nelson on a tour through the Far East, again playing bass. In 1965, he had his biggest solo hit yet, reaching number 45 on the Hot 100 with a version of Buffy Sainte-Marie's "Universal Soldier." Asked about the pacifist message of the song, he elected to assert that people who are advocating burning draft cards should be hung. 1967 to 72, Burning Bridges to the Goodtime Hour. When follow-up singles did not do well, and Capitol was considering dropping Campbell from the label in 1966, he was teamed with producer Al DeLory. Together, they first collaborated on "Burning Bridges," which became a top 20 country hit in early 1967, and the album of the same name. Campbell and DeLory collaborated again on 1967's "Gentle on My Mind," written by John Hartford, which was an overnight success. The song was followed by the bigger hit "By the Time I Get to Phoenix" later in 1967, and "I Wanna Live" and "Wichita Lineman" in 1968. Campbell won 4 Grammy Awards for his performances on "Gentle on My Mind" and "By the Time I Get to Phoenix." In 1967, Campbell was also the uncredited lead vocalist on "My World Fell Down" by Sagittarius, a studio group. The song reached number 70 on the Billboard Hot 100. The 1969 song, "True Grit," by composer Elmer Bernstein and lyricist Don Black, and sung by Campbell, who co-starred in the movie, received nominations for the Academy Award for Best Song, and the Golden Globe for Best Original Song. His biggest hits in the late 1960s were the songs written by Jimmy Webb, "By the Time I Get to Phoenix," "Wichita Lineman," "Galveston," and "Where's the Playground Susie?" An album of mainly Webb-penned compositions, "Reunion: The Songs of Jimmy Webb," was released in 1974, but it produced no hit single records. "Wichita Lineman" was selected as one of the greatest songs of the 20th century by Mojo magazine in 1997 and by Blender in 2001. After he hosted a 1968 summer replacement for television's The Smothers Brothers Comedy Hour variety show, Campbell hosted his own weekly variety show, The Glen Campbell Goodtime Hour, from January 1969 through June 1972. At the height of his popularity, a 1970 biography by Frieda Kramer, The Glen Campbell Story, was published. With Campbell's session work connections, he hosted major names in music on his show, including the Beatles, David Gates, Spread, The Monkees, Neil Diamond, Linda Ronstadt, Johnny Cash, Merle Haggard, Willie Nelson, Waylon Jennings, Roger Miller, and Mel Tillis. Campbell helped launch the careers of Anne Murray and Jerry Reed, who were regulars on his Goodtime Hour program. During the late 1960s and early 1970s, Campbell released a long series of singles and appeared in the movies True Grit with John Wayne and Kim Darby and Norwood with Kim Darby and Joe Namath. 1973 to 79, Rhinestone Cowboy, and Southern Nights. After the cancellation of his CBS series in 1972, Campbell remained a regular on network television. He co-starred in a made-for-television movie, Strange Homecoming, with Robert Culp and up-and-coming teen idol, Leif Garrett. He hosted a number of television specials, including 1976's Down Home, Down Under with Olivia Newton-John. He co-hosted the American Music Awards from 1976 to 78, and headlined the 1979 NBC special Glen Campbell, Back to Basics with guest stars Seals and Crofts, and Brenda Lee. He was a guest on many network talk and variety shows, including Donnie and Marie, The Tonight Show starring Johnny Carson, Cher, The Red Fox Comedy Hour, The Merv Griffin Show, The Midnight Special with Wolfman Jack, Dinah, Evening at Pops with Arthur Fiedler, and The Mike Douglas Show. From 1982 to 1983, he hosted a 30-minute syndicated music show on NBC, The Glen Campbell Music Show. In the mid-1970s, he had more hits with Rhinestone Cowboy, Southern Nights, Sunflower, and Country Boy. Rhinestone Cowboy was Campbell's largest-selling single, initially with over 2 million copies sold. Campbell had heard songwriter Larry Weiss's version while on tour of Australia in 1974. The main phrase of Campbell's recording was included in Dickie Goodman's Jaws movie parody song, Mr. Jaws. Both songs were in the October 4, 1975, Hot 100 and Top 10. Rhinestone Cowboy continues to be used in TV shows and films, including Desperate Housewives, Daddy Daycare, and High School High. It was the inspiration for the 1984 Dolly Parton-Sylvester Stallone movie Rhinestone. Campbell also made a techno-pop version of the song in 2002 with UK artists Ricky and Das, and went to the top 10 in the UK with the dance version and related music video. Southern Nights, by Allen Toussaint, his other #1 pop-rock country crossover hit, was generated with the help of Jimmy Webb and Jerry Reed, who inspired the famous guitar lick introduction to the song, which was the most played jukebox number of 1977. From 1971 to 1983, Campbell was the celebrity host of the Los Angeles Open, an annual professional golf tournament on the PGA Tour. 1980 to 2011, later career. Campbell made a cameo appearance in the 1980 Clint Eastwood movie Any Which Way You Can, for which he recorded the title song. In 1991, he provided the voice of the Elvis Presley sound-alike Rooster Chanticleer in the Don Bluth film Rock-a-Doodle. He gave up smoking on March 15, 1992, and believed his singing voice improved as a result. In 1999, Campbell was featured on VH1's Behind the Music, A&E Network's biography in 2001, and on a number of CMT programs. Campbell ranked 29th on CMT's 40 Greatest Men of Country Music in 2003. He is also credited with giving Piedmont Airlines at Atlanta Airport, and gave her his publishing manager's business card. Jackson went to work for Campbell's music publishing business in the early 1990s and later had many of his hit songs published in part by Campbell's company, Seventh Son Music. Campbell also served as an inspiration to Keith Urban, who cites Campbell as a strong influence on his performing career. In 2005, Campbell was inducted into the Country Music Hall of Fame. It was announced in April 2008 that Campbell was returning to his signature label, Capitol, to release his new album, Meet Glen Campbell. The album was released on August 19. With this album, he branched off in a different musical direction, covering tracks from artists such as Travis, U2, Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, Jackson Browne, and Foo Fighters. It was Campbell's first release on Capitol in over 15 years. Musicians from Cheap Trick and Jellyfish contributed to the album, as well. The first single, a cover of Green Day's Good Riddance, was released to radio in July 2008. 2011 present, illness and retirement. In March 2010, a then farewell album titled Ghost on the Canvas was announced, which served as a companion to Meet Glen Campbell. Ghost on the Canvas was released on August 30, 2011, with collaborations that include Paul Westerberg, the Wallflowers singer Jakob Dylan, Chris Isaak, Rick Nielsen, and Billy Corgan of the Smashing Pumpkins. Following his early 2011 Alzheimer's diagnosis, Campbell embarked on a final goodbye tour, with 3 of his children joining him in his backup band. His final show was on November 30, 2012, in Napa, California. After the end of the tour, Campbell entered the studio in his hometown Nashville to record what would be his final album, Adios, which wouldn't be revealed until 5 years later. According to his wife Kim Campbell, he wanted to preserve what magic was left in what would be his final recordings. In January 2013, Campbell recorded his final song, I'm Not Gonna Miss You, during what would be his last recording sessions. The song, which is featured in the 2014 documentary, Glen Campbell, I'll Be Me, was released on September 30, 2014, with the documentary following on October 24. On January 15, 2015, Campbell and fellow songwriter Julian Raymond were nominated for Best Original Song at the 87th Academy Awards. On August 30, 2016, during the 10th Annual ACM Honors, Keith Urban, Blake Shelton and others performed a medley of Glen Campbell's songs in tribute of him. His wife Kim Campbell accepted the Career Achievement Award on his behalf. In April 2017, Campbell's final album, Adios, was announced, featuring 12 songs from his final 2012-13 sessions. The album is slated for release on June 9, 2017. Relationships and children. Campbell has been married 4 times and is the father of 5 sons and 3 daughters, ranging in year of birth from 1956 to 1986. Campbell's eldest daughter is Debbie, from his marriage to Diane Kirk. After divorcing Kirk, Campbell married Billie Jean Nunley, a beautician from Carlsbad, New Mexico, who gave birth to Kelly, Travis, and Kane. Billy Campbell filed for divorce in 1975 and their divorce was final in 1976. Shortly after that, he married singer Mac Davis' second wife, Sarah Barg, in September 1976. They had 1 child named Dylan and divorced 3 weeks after Dylan's birth in 1980. Immediately after his divorce from Barg, Campbell began a relationship with fellow country artist Tanya Tucker. The relationship was marked by frequent tabloid gossip and articles. The couple recorded a number of songs together, including the single, Dream Lover. Campbell has been married to Kimberly Kim Woolen since 1982. The couple met on a blind date in 1981 when Woolen was a Radio City Music Hall Rockette. Together, they have 3 children, Cal, Shannon, and Ashley. All 3 have joined Campbell on stage since 2010 as part of his touring band. Campbell, who was raised in the Church of Christ, joined a Baptist church in Phoenix along with his wife Kim. In a 2008 interview, they said that they had been adherents of Messianic Judaism for 2 decades. Politics. On the Glen Campbell Goodtime Hour television show, Campbell avoided political topics. Around this time, he described himself in interviews as a registered Democrat. But I voted Republican a few times, and he performed in support of both Republican and Democratic politicians. Campbell performed the national anthem at the 1980 Republican National Convention and continued to make a number of campaign appearances for Republican candidates during the 1980s and 1990s. Alzheimer's diagnosis. In June 2011, Campbell announced he had been diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease 6 months earlier. According to his family, symptoms of the disease had been occurring for years, becoming more and more evident as the years progressed. Campbell went on a final goodbye tour, with 3 of his children joining him in his backup band. His final show was on November 30, 2012, in Napa, California. He performed "Rhinestone Cowboy" as a goodbye at the 2012 Grammy Awards ceremony held on February 12, 2012. His final televised on-stage performance in April 2014. News reports indicated that Campbell became a patient at an Alzheimer's long-term care and treatment facility on March 4, 2015. Associated Press reported that 2 of Campbell's children, Debbie and Travis, sought legal action against Campbell's wife Kim, with the assertion she secluded the singer and prevented them from participating in Campbell's medical care. On March 8, 2016, Rolling Stone reported that Campbell was living in a Nashville memory care facility, and that he was in the final stages of his disease. He was unable to communicate with people and understand what people said to him. However, his family also said he was receiving good care and was happy and cheerful. On Campbell's 80th birthday, Jimmy Webb, with whom Campbell frequently collaborated, announced he would launch a special edition of his national touring show on May 3, 2016, called Jimmy Webb: The Glen Campbell Years, at Nashville's City Winery. Discography and videography. Since 1962, Campbell has recorded and released 58 studio albums and 6 live albums. He has also lent his vocals to 4 soundtracks for motion pictures: True Grit, Norwood, Rock-a-Doodle, and the 2014 documentary film Glen Campbell, I'll Be Me. He has placed a total of 82 singles on either the Billboard Country Chart, the Billboard Hot 100, or the Adult Contemporary Chart, 9 of which peaked at number 1 on at least one of those charts. He has released 15 video albums and has been featured in 21 music videos. His first 2 music videos, By the Time I Get to Phoenix and Wichita Lineman, were directed by Gene Weed in 1967 and 1968, respectively. Campbell released his final music video, I'm Not Gonna Miss You, in 2014 to coincide with the release of the documentary Glen Campbell, I'll Be Me. His final studio album, Adios, is slated for release on June 9, 2017. Bibliography. Allen, Bob. Glen Campbell, in the Encyclopedia of Country Music. Paul Kingsbury, editor. New York, Oxford University Press. pp. 76-77. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe below. Please like and subscribe below.